house with a roof. It's not just a house with a kitchen and bedrooms. You can kind of identify different things. All right, so things we're gonna cover. I'm gonna do the 10 most popular styles of homes and some mechanicals and other things to know that's gonna help you guys as well. All right, so the first one, Cape Cods. Cape Cods are super popular, like in Fair Lawn. Every town has Cape Cods, right? So what is a Cape Cod? So Cape Cod, let me take this, I don't see my back. All right, so basically a Cape Cod was really popular during the 1930s and 1950s. All right, Cape Cods, if you think about it, it's like the Honda of homes. They're very easy to make. And during the 40s to 1950s, they were really special for the GIs coming in. So what they did is the downstairs was just, the downstairs was kind of like a ranch where you had your staircase right in the middle of the house, 2 bedrooms, a kitchen, and a living room. And then what they did is it was very affordable. Then it made the upstairs and the GIs coming back from the war, finishing the upstairs or whatnot. So a lot of them have the exact same appearance. As far as Cape Cods, they're very cookie cutter. You go into one Cape Cod, 99% of Cape Cods all look the same unless there was anything done to it. There's Cape Cods that have, they dorm the upstairs and make an additional bedroom upstairs. And even if they did work to the second floor, people try to squeeze a bathroom and 2 bedrooms, but they're really kind of tight. You really don't find hardwood floors in Cape Cods. Like I said, they're really economical built homes, right? And I can send all these slides to you guys. So once we get the email, I'll send you all the stuff because all the notes are just something, some stuff, for you to understand. So like, the boom. So if you think about the boom, it's after, basically after the war. And like I said, they're really made for the GIs, but nonetheless, this stuff here was all done well before the wars, right? Next one is colonial. Now there's a couple different types of colonials, but a traditional colonial, and actually I'm gonna go back. So this is actually called a balloon frame property. So you have one-dimensional lumber going from the foundation to the roof line. So this house is approximately 25 feet right to the roof line, maybe to the gable. So you have one piece of wood from the bottom all the way up top, and you can tell by the windows being in line, right? So this right here, it's a balloon frame colonial. That's just kind of extra, but the floors are actually on the studs. The ceiling. That's why you look at the windows. This right here was it's an original built home. They started building balloon frames basically back in the 1940s. So colonial, that's your colonial. Some information on colonials, right? This out of the way. No. What are you doing there? All right, so a couple of fun facts. Most of the time, the home will have three bedrooms, right? 2 of the bedrooms are medium to large in size, and then you have one that's a nursery, a cute size bedroom. It's a small room, right? You come up to the stairs.
Here. You there? No.
You come up to the stairs. You see bedrooms, your bathroom. These homes don't have bedrooms. I mean, bathrooms on the first floor. Bathrooms on the first floor were always added in later on, usually by the kitchen. Or what you'll find is you'll find a bathroom underneath another bathroom because they use the same vent pipe going straight to the roof. So that's when you'll find a bathroom. So you've got to guess where the bathroom would be. It's usually where the plumbing is because it's easiest and cheapest and most economical way to do that, right?
Yes, fix it.
Homes commonly feature upstyle crown molding. You'll always find crown molding. Between colonials and Tudors, you always find wood finishes, wood trims. A lot of people end up painting them through the years, but you'll always find.
Hey, you want some here?
Yeah, I'm gonna mute everybody. Yeah, I'm gonna mute you guys. Sorry. I don't know how to mute. No, that's me. Yeah, if you guys can just mute yourself, thanks.
Oh, wait.
Thank you, Angie. All right, so when you go to the house, right?
I took classes this morning, but this classes looks more interesting about what styles are different housing, what they calling it, I don't know.
She doesn't know she's not muted. Yeah, you're muted. I mean, you're not muted, you're live. You just muted.
Right.
No, no,
I'll take questions, I'll take questions.
no, no, I got it.
Oh, the name, the style.
Oh, no, no. Okay, cool. Awesome. All right, cool. So when you come in, most colonials, you're gonna have a little foyer, you're gonna have a little entranceway, like a breezeway. So you walk in, not breezeway, but an entranceway. So you're walking in and you're invited by a living room and a stairway. Now, the stairway can be in one of two places, in the middle, on the side. Now, I'll explain to that with a side hall and a center hall. The kitchens usually usually in the back, right? The back right most of the time. Sometimes it could be in the back left, but most of the time it's in the back right. You have a little formal dining area. The big room you're walking into is a big living area. Most of the time, the colonials may have a porch, a front porch, that over time they may have closed off, right? A colonial is a very squared house. It's a very squared house, usually 2, sometimes 3 if their attic is finished. Now you do have a center hall and a side hall. On the center hall, the stairs are in the center of the house, and then the second floor, the bedrooms are on either side of the hallway. So you have a long hallway in the center. You have the hallway in the center, and it's in the middle of the bed, like the middle of the house, and bathrooms are on the side of it, right? That gives you the name center hall colonial. First floor is usually the same. The stairs are off to the side. Now the stairs could be either one of two things. The stairs are coming up straight up from the front door. They go straight up and then they come angle up, or you may have it coming up this way, zigzag up. Right now, if you see that way, that's going to be a side hall rather than a center hall. Center hall is right from the side, and you may find some stained glass on right at the bottom of the stairs. Colonials are big. This area is big with stained glass, especially Teaneck, Pagoda, Richfield Park. Like those are big towns that have colonials with a lot of stained glass, right? Now the same thing is with the construction is pretty much the same. You'll find shutters and whatnot. Now on the side hall, right? With the side hall, the stairs are on the side of the house, and all the bedrooms are kind of like horseshoed around. So you get to the top of the steps. The hallway is short, right? It's not a long hallway. It's short, but you may have a bathroom, large bedroom, tiny bedroom, and then you may have walk upstairs going straight up to the attic. All right, Tudor. Tudors are very popular in Teaneck, right? You'll find Tudors almost all the time in Teaneck. You'll find between colonials and Tudors, you find a lot of wood accents, like hardwood floors. Like colonials are all hardwood floors. The houses I mentioned so far, other than Cape Cod, the wall construction is plaster and lath. That's actually something I put on here. So plaster and lath is basically fern strips, which are like 2-inch strips of wood, right? And what they did is they put plaster onto it, which is painted over. A lot of the houses now that you're looking at, they're probably about 80 to 110 years old. You can start seeing the plaster sort of like kind of like blister off. Yeah, blister off the walls. That's just because of age. The house is not falling apart. It's just the plaster's old and it's kind of building over. What a lot of people, a lot of contractors who can tell those clients is you do 2 things. One, put sheetrock over it, or you remove the whole thing. Plaster is super heavy, so the waste is expensive. So contractors just tell people if you can, just go ahead, put sheetrock over it. You're losing a ½ inch of space, but that's just something that a contractor would say. So, all right. So now Tudors are really, really popular from 1890s to the 1940s. So this is going pretty much right before the war. Now their look is more of the medieval kind of look. You see them and it's very iconic. It's the points. So whatever the Tudors are characterized by their steeply pitched roof gables, playful elaborate masonry chimneys, awfully with chimneys and pots, doors. So and you can't miss a Tudor, right? Now the layout of the layout is you're gonna get the stairs to the left, right? Sometimes you'll find the stairs in the middle, but most of the time the stairs are to the left. The kitchen is in the back. Between the kitchen and the dining area, you're gonna have a little nook, and you're gonna have your like dining area. On the other side of the dining area, you're gonna have a living area, which is small, and then you're gonna have a den off to the side. On this, depending on the size of it, how big the house, you can have 3 bedrooms and a small two-door. You can have like 7 in the large, 5 in the large. So if you go on say Queen Anne Road before Cedar Lane, parallel to Holy Name, those two-doors are huge. Those may be 5 bedroom. Those might be like 5 bedrooms. But if you go to like by Franklin, on the other side of Route 4, by like Popeyes, those houses are smaller. You look at probably more like a 3-bedroom house. But it's very characteristic. You don't have a bathroom on the first floor. You have the bathroom on the second floor. The bathroom is usually always over the kitchen. Ranches are we're very popular in Paramus. Now Paramus is built up. A lot of the contractors are buying ranches, knocking them down, and putting these beautiful homes. Ranches are everything's on the first floor, right? So as soon as you walk in, now the ranch, it's either a U shape. Yeah, they either built in a U shape or an L shape, right? So as soon as you walk in, right, you're walking in, you'll have a dining room. As soon as you walk in, you have a dining room going into like a kitchen, living area, and then to the left, right, where the L is, that's where your living areas are. So you're gonna have a common bathroom, you're gonna have 2 bedrooms, a master. That master may also have a master bathroom as well, right? On the U shape, you're gonna have you walk in straight. You get into the kitchen, you'll have a living dining area, and to the left, you'll have your bedroom areas. Ranches, depending on the area, may be just on a slab. So the slab means it's just right on concrete. They may have a little crawl space, or you'll have a finished space, or you'll have a basement. So ranches they're just very simplistic, obviously better for the elderly and stuff like that. There's no stairs. Now, there's also a thing called a raised ranch. So a raised ranch, you're gonna have a garage on the first floor, right? A bonus room. So this is a raised ranch. It's not a bi-level. I'll show you what a bi-level is. A little similar to a bi-level. Poor choice of pictures on my end. So you're gonna come in. You have it downstairs. And basically, it was just open. You have a garage, and it was just an open area. Walk out to the backyard. You're living. Everything's up on the second floor. So as soon as you walk upstairs, you have a dining room, kitchen, and then the bedrooms down the hall. Right? That's it. A lot of times over time, people finish this and they either made it like an apartment, a bedroom, a den, a man cave, whatever you want to call it. And they usually have like one, most of the time it was a 2-car garage. Now you'll have, here we go. The stuff on the razor. Oh, that's what I did. Okay. My bad. So I knew I made a mistake. I couldn't find where my mistake was. I took the literature off. I copied the I didn't put the literature on this. My bad, guys. But basically, what it is downstairs, ground level. Oh no, there it is. Okay, find a bonus room. They made this area a livable space. All right. So bi-level. Bi-level looks like a raised ranch. And again, I think I used the same picture, which is poor choice picture on my end. You're coming up. The entrance is in between the top and the ground floor. You're right in the middle of the house. You take a few steps up, you come up to the stairs, you're looking at the top stairs, you have a hallway to your left, a big living room to your right, kitchen right in front of you. That living room, most of the time, comes into an L to like a dining area, and then the dining area may have a doorway going right to the kitchen, and then there's usually a porch sometimes right from the kitchen. Now, if you go through that hallway, you'll find a bathroom. The bathroom's always going to be adjacent to the kitchen because of the plumbing and the water pipes and the vents. You're always going to have your bathroom and your kitchen right behind each other. Most of the houses. And then you have your 3 bedrooms. The bedrooms are always large in size. Then you go down back to the front steps. You go down a couple more steps, and you're going to have you'll find another livable space almost matching upstairs. A lot of people take bi-levels and they make them into 2-family homes. So the 2-family homes are what's the word I'm looking for? No, yeah, mother daughter, but I was looking for like the technical term that they use in the building picture. It's a if it catches my mind, I'll let you guys know what it is. If I remember it. But anyway, so you have kind of medical stuff. Now, a lot of people confuse bi-levels with, it's kind of like my eyes, I call sister. Now, listen, as far as the bi-levels, you get a lot of space. Like, there's a lot of space in the bi. They look like small homes, but the way that everything's laid out, it's a lot bigger in size. A lot of people confuse bi-levels with split levels. Now, a split level, you have multiple living areas in the house, all right? So you come in, a couple stairs, you have a living area here. So you probably have at least 1 or 2 bedrooms up here. You have a living area here, garage, kitchen in the back, right? So a split level, okay, is the home where multiple levels are visible from the front elevation, right? So you come up, you have maybe 2 steps to a hallway with 3 bedrooms, a bathroom, bedroom. Then you come down a couple of steps, you have a kitchen, you have a little dining area where your living area, go a couple more steps. You may have a laundry room, another bonus area, 2 steps to the garage, right? It's just multiple steps. This room, this house here also has a lot of, so this house here, like the bi-level, offers a lot of room. So if you have a client who's looking for a property with lots of room, bi-level, split levels are probably your go-to. You can go with colonials, but colonials are very, like, the colonials are not too far off. They always look similar, just like Cape Cod. You already have the mindset. So once you know been in one, you can kind of explain it over and over. Victorian. Now, Victorians are huge down here. Like, so in the fire service, every time we have a monthly meeting every month, and we write all the notes, everything that was discussed during the meeting, we look at the financials and stuff like that. So there was an article that I was reading where Cape May, right, the fire department, Cape May, were complaining about all these Victorian houses getting built and how it's going to make the area look like crap, this and that. You go to Cape May, and it's nothing but beautiful Victorian homes, right? It just looks gorgeous. So Victorian homes in this immediate area, you'll find a lot of Victorian homes in Ridgeville Park. One thing that you can find that kind of notes what a Victorian home is you start seeing a pointed roof lines, the rounded rooms. Victorian homes also go back to the slave time. So what you'll find is in a Victorian home is the kitchen may have a stairway going straight up to the attic, and the attic would have its bathroom because that's where the slaves and the servants used to live. They wouldn't be shown in the regular house. They work, go straight upstairs to their dorm. So a lot of Victorians, if you go to Ridgeville Park, you'll find that a lot of these Victorians are multi-family homes, and it's because of just that, because you have basically a large footprint, and they start making them multi-family. So it's very similar to a colonial home, but you find a staircase, like I said, goes straight to the attic, and you'll find a basement. It's the old serving quarters. So the kitchen also has 2 entrances, right? So you have one right to the dining room, and these homes are very squared off, right? You don't have open concept. Everything is very sectioned off, exactly. So what you do is from the kitchen, you have an entrance from the kitchen to the dining room. And then you have from the living room, you have an entrance to the dining room. Every room has something because, like I said, the people working in these homes were not to be shown or not to be seen around, the people visiting. These were very popular from the 1830s to the early 1900s, and they kind of stopped after around that. All right, that's on the homes. Here's on the mechanical system. So boilers. You have basically 2 popular types of boilers, right? You have the gas powered boiler and an oil powered boiler. All right, the boilers you can have steam. And you can tell it's a steam boiler by looking at how big the pipes are. So you usually have a 2-inch pipe coming out of the boiler itself. On a hot water pipe, you only have a 3/4 inch, sometimes 2.5 inch, but most of the time it's a 3/4 inch. On the oil burner, you have this big black block, which basically heats the oil. It basically gives the oil the compression and whatnot. So this right here, when you go down there, they're both about the same in size. Now, mind you, if they're built from the 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, obviously they're going to look like big Cadillac, just like the cars. But by just looking at it going into there, you can tell, hey, this one here, big pipes, steam. This one here, small pipes, water. Now, what does it mean? The boiler on this one heats up the hot water circulates around through the house. And it's the hot water going through the fins of the radiator or the baseboard that gives the heat off to the room. On steam, the water boils, the steam goes through the pipes, and the steams will go through the house. Now, on this one here, you'll hear a hiss. So the radiators, when you know it's working, you hear like a hissing sound. That's the steam going through it. You'll hear knocking. When you hear knocking on the pipes, the knocking on the pipes is not no mouse or anything like that, knocking on the pipe or taking a wrench to the pipe. It's actually the water, the cold water hitting the hot air on the pipe, and that's causing it to knock, right? So if your client calls you and say, hey, I hear knocking, 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 could be one of two things. One of the pipes, because it uses gravity, the water comes back into you, it uses gravity to go back into the boiler. So it could be a pipe that maybe not angled right, or water's not draining out, it's stuck in there. Could be that the boiler itself is overfilled with water. There could be a couple of things, tell them to call a plumber. The plumber will rectify the issue. With the hot water heater, what they should do is every season, they have this little key. You go to the radiator, which I'll show you right here. You go to the radiator, on the side of the radiator, you can bleed the air coming out of the thing until you get water coming out. Once the water comes out, you know there's no air in the system, and it works much better. You have two types of radiators. You have the baseboard radiator that's always going to be for hot water. This can be used for hot water or steam. They look almost identical, but it's still one is for hot water and one's for steam. All right, so those are your radiators. They come in different shapes and sizes, but the functionality is exactly the same. That's usually made out of cast iron. It's in the most inconvenient place and looks like total crap. It is what it is, but that's how we get our heat. Now, there's also one thing I put on here because it's almost impossible for you guys to know, but it's radiant floors. So what radiant floors is, they take the hot water, right, pipe, and they run it around the floor, or an element, could be electric or whatnot. The heat underneath the tile, and it generates heats, radiates the heat rises. And so you'll find them in bathrooms most of the time. You basically it's under porcelain or ceramic tiles, right? But you're not going to be able to know it because you can't see it. You just got to trust that it's there. So if you don't see anything in the bathroom, it's probably that's it. Also, another way of heating, if you see a little knob that's on the baseboard, it's electric, right? So you'll find them in homes, basically that are oil homes. You'll find them in the bathrooms, electric homes, apartments where the person is paying for their own utilities. So it's a baseboard looks like this, and it's just a knob, and that's your thermostat. All right, HVAC, right? So HVAC units. So this right here is units of, you have two types of HVAC, the heating side and the cooling side, right? So basically what it is it's taking air, it's heating it, forced air, going through the ducts out the rooms, right? You can do heat, like I said, you can do air conditioning. There's times that the house is being heated by forced air, but it has window ACs, it doesn't have the units on the outside for air conditioning, right? Exactly. Now, it's easy to convert because you already have the ducts in place. The most expensive and hardest part of this system is getting the ducts. Now, the colonial house is very easy because what they do is they'll put the ducts on the floor in the basement for this first floor. And then for the second floor, they'll run it from the attic going down. Cape Cod's a little bit easier. They'll just put it in the attic. But if the attic is actually bedrooms, then it's going to be hard to run it. But what you also do is you have to run basically a pipe going from the basement over to the top floor for the air and whatnot. So they usually use closets. Colonials will work great because the closets in one spot is usually above another closet in another spot. Like I said, colonials are very square property homes, so it's easier on a colonial. Split levels and bi-levels are really hard, and they could be expensive. So in those cases, when people do have that issue, right? What they do, we'll go back to it. It's out of order. So water heater, two types of water heater, right? Well, there's two types of water heater. You have your regular tank water heater and a tankless water heater. I'll explain the first one first. So a tank water heater, you have two options. You have gas, right? Which you'll see like a yellow gas line, right? And the gas line comes off to the side here. This one here, It's actually a black pipe. So this is your black pipe, you have an emergency shut off here, emergency shut off here, and this is your pilot right here. Or you have electric, right? So on homes that have propane, rentals, you'll have electric. They look identical. On this white thing here, it'll tell you how many gallons it is. On homes that are usually, any homes that are 3 to 4 bedrooms, the most common water heater is 40 gallons. A family of 5 or 6 or people with teenagers, what they'll do is they'll get a 50-gallon water heater. The 50-gallon water heater gives you more heat. Now, what it does is this tank here constantly is filled with water, right? Now, the water constantly is heated up. So when you go on vacation, tell your clients, right, here's the thermostat, it's a black knob, they can put it on vacation mode or blow it all the way down. So it's not heating the water up to 110 degrees or whatever, it's heating the water up, it's gonna stay low, so it's gonna be a little bit more efficient, all right? Now, this right here is like the Cadillac of water heaters. This right here is called a tankless water. Oh, this question, just give me 1 second. Oh, how do you find new? How old? Angelique, what are you talking about on the boilers, water heaters? What are you talking about?
On any of them, a lot of times people ask how old a particular system is, and I have no idea how to answer it.
Awesome. I'll let you know. So on the boiler, you see right here, I don't know if you can see with my mouse, right here on the boiler, that's an information thing. It tells you when the boiler was made. It'll give you a year. On the water heater here, it will tell you the same thing on this white label. On this white label, it'll tell you the year. Now, on my next slide, I'll tell you the life expectancies of these, but you can find it right on the unit itself. The BTUs on the boiler, so the BTUs and also on the water heater. On the tankless water heater, what it is water is going straight into the system. It's going on coils, and as the water is being demanded, it's heating up through the coils and it's giving you instant hot water. The water it's not heated beforehand. So that unit there is the most efficient unit. It's twice the price of this, but it's the most efficient. Now, life expectancies on water heaters and boilers, here we go. So a well-cooked boiler can last 11 to 27 years. A lot of companies claim that they can also last 50 to 60. If you get the higher end, the most expensive, obviously you pay for what you get. Now, water heaters, they last anywhere from 8 to 12 years. Now, water heaters, they tell you right there on the box, the warranty of the unit. So if you're getting a 12-year warranty and it fails after 8 years, you can get a replacement warranty, replacement unit. But if your water heater is an 8-year warranty, the water heater, because it's the most inexpensive one you bought, and it fails after 10 years, you got to get a new one. A couple things to know to look at a water heater. If you look at the top, you're going to have a cold side and a hot side. You have the water going in, water coming up. You're going to see it's a red ring and a blue ring on top of the water. If there's a lot of corrosion on it, you can start seeing a lot of corrosion, it's probably already on its way out. What happens is there's 2 elements going right in the middle of the water heater. So right in the middle of the water heater, you have 2 elements. So right here is your elements, right where the water comes down, right? So the elements over time builds up with calcium and minerals. What's going to go to the next one. What I tell people is to make sure you have a good working water heater, there's a spigot here, drain it every 6 months. What happens is you drain it out and it refills. When you're doing that, it helps take away those minerals and build up a calcium on the elements. If you start seeing water at the bottom of the water heater, tell your client this water heater needs to be replaced because it's a matter of time that the bottom is going to rust out. And what happens is the water will never shut off because the water stops when the float says, hey, I'm full. But if there's nothing on the bottom holding the water in, you're going to have 3-4 inches of water. When you find out there's no hot water in the shower and you go in the basement to find out what's going on, and you find 3 or 4 inches of water in the basement. So when you guys looking in, when you guys are looking, just give it on. Just give it on. You can look at it. You should say, oh, this is a 40-gallon water heater. Well, this water heater was from 2011. Well, it's 2022. It's already on its way out. So if they're saying, hey, the house is being sold as is, you can prepare your client and say, hey, listen, this might be a $1,200 expense. Just prepare for it, because if you like this house, then one of the first things you need to do is change this water heater, because it's just a matter of time before it's gonna die.
Should always just recommend, just to add on to that, like, so you kind of get a home warranty.
100%.
PSE warranty.
100%. And PSE&G also, like, a lot of people don't have money ready to buy this stuff, right? PSE&G will replace it and then charge your bill in installments as well. But the water-free program, like Stephen was saying, it's like, I think it's $4 a month. And God forbid something happens, they come and they fix it. Like when I bought my house, my boiler, I had a bad sensor, which caused and eventually caused the fire in my house. But it kept on going. I called them on Thanksgiving, the day of Thanksgiving, because I know heat. They came that night. And I didn't have to pay anything because I'm paying like, it was like $5, $6 a month. And I called them like 3-4 times until it caught on fire. Yeah.
There's a white sticker that tells you the date is not there. I can tell. The last two shows I did, that one sticker was on.
There's no, I mean, if it's not there, it's on that, it's on there. It's the label's messed up, scratched off. There's, yeah, there's nothing that you can, there's nothing that,
I think there's a serial number that the inspector can't check somehow.
you know what, you're 100% right. You're 100% right on
I
that.
don't know how we can do it.
I don't think we can. I think it's on their things. And that's why the inspectors always look at models and refrigerators and all that stuff, because they can see if anything has any recalls and stuff like that. All right, so mini split. So remember I was explaining to you, if the house can't get the ducts or whatnot, people can get mini splits. So a mini split is basically a wall air conditioner with a condenser outside. So this condenser outside can also branch out. You can have mini splits in multiple rooms, right? So like a Cape Cod, the Cape Cod may be air conditioned on the first floor, and the second floor may have mini splits. You'll find that in colonials. You know, they don't want to mess, they don't want to cut the hardwood floors. There's plaster walls, and they can't do anything with the attic. They're putting mini splits. Mini splits are a little bit more expensive. So say a central air may cost a colonial house $20,000 to install. A mini split itself per unit may be about $12,000, but you may need 3 or 4 mini splits, because the mini split is only doing so much cooling, the BTUs, for that little area. So you may need to get a couple, but you can still use the one condenser on the outside. All right, other couple of things. Water softener. Yeah.
Some of the mini splits, they don't cool, they have cool.
Yes, 100%, 100%. So you do have mini splits that does heating as well. So they're mostly electric, right? You know, I don't know if they have any gas powered ones, but I know all the ones I've seen are electric. The ones I've seen are in homes that have either oil heat or wood burning fireplace. There's no gas coming to the house. So I do real estate out in Sussex and Warren County, where they have propane, oil and stuff like that. That's why I see a lot of mini splits. Or I'll see them, pretty much when I see oil heat, I see mini splits. But you also have to heat. It's super expensive. It's electric. So water softener. So what people use water softeners, you don't see them big in Bergen County or in this section of Bergen County. You may see them going up 17 by Woodcliff Lake, Saddle River, Wayne. What it's basically is, what it is the water is very heavy with minerals, right? So what it does is you have a water softener. You have this brine tank where you're putting your softening salt into this brine tank. The bag of salt is 40 pounds. This tank here, I think, takes 120 pounds, 4 bags. And what it does is just fill up with air, water. What happens is as the water goes through your mineral tank, and what it does is it takes the water, it softens the water. How do you know if the water's hard? Take a shower, look at the water, look at the glass after you take the shower, it dries. If you see a whole bunch of white spots, it's hard water. If you look at your sink in your bathroom after you finish getting ready, and you start seeing the bottom of the ring, it's all white all the time, it's heavy. That's just the minerals and the sediments from the water. You can alleviate that with a water softener. Water softeners are always going to be with the areas of the water heater and the boilers. All right, radon systems. we're lucky, we don't have to worry too much about radon systems in Bergen County. Radon systems are huge out in like Morris, Passaic, Sussex. You don't have radon system. What is radon? Radon is like a radiation gas that came from the ground from decaying. Right here, so it tells you right here. On the top, right? It's basically, it's just radioactive, radioactive material that decayed over time and it seeps in through the basement floor. It's colorless, it's tasteless, it's odorless, but it's the second leading cause of lung cancer behind cigarettes. All right. So the average parts per million that is safe is 4 parts per million. If it's over 4 parts per million, you need a radiation. This system is about $2,500. The seller is usually responsible for installing it. And what they do is they make a trench underneath the foundation, and then it's a fan, and it takes the air out over the roof line out of the house. So basically, it just sucks the air, rotates the air. So instead of going through your basement, it goes out to the side of the house. You'll find this pipe in the basement with this red kind of U shape on the pipe. People try to conceal in front of an closets and whatnot. And then you have the fan going outside. The shut off on this should always be on the inside, not on the outside, because anyone can go shut it off. A lot of people do shut this off because it saves them maybe $150 worth of electric per year, right? It's really not expensive to run, but that's what that it basically it's just a fan blowing out the air from the basement over the stairs. So radon systems. I have a couple of clients that had to install radon systems or one person. Once this is there, it's safe. It's safe, it is what it is. You can see this on this picture here. You have a water softener in this house here.
That's my question.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a comment. I did an inspection the other day. The guy had an electronic radon machine.
Really?
Ever heard of that?
No, never.
Anybody? I'd never seen before either. He plugged it in when he first got there, put it in the basement, came back like after 2 hours of inspection and had a little digital readout. And I said, what is that? He told me, he goes, I don't worry about it if it's like under 2 or 3 or 4.
Oh, so he just turns it on and off?
He turns it on and off.
Yeah.
He says, we get to around 3 or 4, then I'll do a canister. And I don't know if you ever heard it before.
No, never heard of it.
He said you can order it online.
Wow.
I know.
That's kind of weird. I mean, that's new.
The cancer, you see what?
Absorbs the,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure how they test the canister. but-
Well, it's by weight. So what is it's
It looks just like a little oversized canister.
Yeah.
A little digital readout.
so they test that canister by weight.
No, it's got a
No,
digital.
I'm saying the inspectors, like that's like the one thing that I saw.
The regular.
Yeah. They test it by weight. That's how they test
Oh, wait.
how it is.
That's interesting.
But then I never heard of like a can, like, how does a canister alleviate the gas? Because it's a gas, like how does it suck it in? That's weird.
Can't answer how it works. It's just maybe that's a filter or something.
Yeah.
It is.
I'm gonna
And I
look,
liked it. It was fast. You go back. Canister.
like, I wanna look into it. When it comes to stuff like this, I'm a freak.
I know.
I'm a nerd.
So report back.
I'm gonna actually look into it.
Double space.
Lead pipes. So PSCG, you heard Fawn talking about this at the monthly meeting, our monthly meeting. PSCG right now is trying to, like most of the houses in Bergen County under PSCG have lead pipes from the street to the house. And in the house, you'll see the lead pipe. The lead pipe, honestly, is, everyone's seen a copper pipe, right? At every joint of a copper pipe, you have a 90-degree, 45, you have a joint. A lead pipe, you can bend it all the way you want. So like the first thing you can tell is like, well, this kind of looks weird. It's like an S and there's no stuff. That's automatically should give you a warning. Hey, this may be a lead pipe. So lead pipes always go into the copper pipes. Lead pipes it's unsafe, but if you think about it, over time, you get a lot of buildup inside the pipe itself. So the water is actually not running and touching the lead, it's actually touching the sediment. But if the sediment is disturbed and touching the lead, it becomes dangerous. What PSCG is doing, I think they just finished Bogota, and they're going to each town in Bergen County where they're cutting up the sidewalk, removing the lead pipe, and the water going into the house with copper and removing this. So that's the reason why Farhan says that we have that new form. It's just explaining what PSCG is already identified and already doing. So a lot of houses do have lead pipe, and that's what lead pipe looks like. All right. asbestos. Now, there's two types of asbestos. Hold on, we got a copy. Can you ship? Yeah. I'll send you guys your email. I'll look at see who's on here. Well, you know what? If you want a copy, just send me your email so I can send it to you guys. I'll look at the thread and I'll send you guys the email. So just put your email in the comments. All right, asbestos. There's two types of asbestos. There's no right or wrong amount of asbestos that can cause you sickness. They don't have a safe amount of asbestos. Asbestos were super popular in the 1800s up until the 1980s, and it was made for insulating pipes. So you'll find asbestos basically on steam pipes in homes. So if you have steam heat, 9 times out of 10, if it was built during those time periods, which a lot of the houses here in Bergen County had asbestos at one time or another. A lot of people remove the asbestos on their own, right? Which is super dangerous. What you need is you need to kind of seal out the area, negative air pressure into a filtration system to get that dust particles out. When you do a asbestos removal, you also need to make sure you have air quality tests, just like mold. So don't advocate to your clients, oh, you can remove that. Because honestly, I had asbestos removed at my house. I had 5 linear feet. It cost me $12,000 to remove 5 linear feet of asbestos. It's super expensive because of all the stuff that they need to do. Now, there's, like I said, there's 2 types of asbestos. The most dangerous type of asbestos is usually found on the elbows. It was like kind of a clay that they put on it. This is very brittle. So again, 1, you shouldn't be touching it. But 2, when it's like this, you start seeing it breaking up. It's not a good sign, right? The other one, the most common one, is the one that looks like this, where it looks like cardboard, right? Really old cardboard that's wrapped around. That's usually time asbestos. Where none of us here are inspectors or professionals to identify any of this stuff as asbestos. So never tell your client it is asbestos or it's not asbestos. Get them to get it tested, because don't put that liability on you. Just say, hey, it looks like it might be asbestos. Just keep that in mind. You should get that checked out. The inspectors are probably gonna tell you the same thing. It looks like it's asbestos. It may or may not be, but it looks like it. But the most harmful one is this one that's always on the elbow of the pipe. But like I said, you always find them on the heating pipes. You'll never find them on drainage. Now, with that being said, more asbestos that's in homes that people don't realize it is asbestos flooring, usually called 9x9. So these tiles are 9x9 tiles, beautiful looking tiles. The tiles itself was made with asbestos. A lot of people find these in basements or in attics. Over time, these tiles have been covered up with hardwood floors or vinyl flooring, linoleum flooring, because it is so harmful to remove, because you need to do the same thing as you removing asbestos on a pipe, is removing the stuff. It is very brittle, but that dust can also harm and give you cancer. It is, what is it called? Cancer. Fuck, it starts with an L. I was supposed to curse my bad. I forgot the cancer it causes. No, it's not leukemia. Is it lymphoma? I forget. You know, you're gonna say it. I'm like, it's not even starts with an L. It's probably starts with P or something. No, well, it wasn't L. Okay. Sorry, that. Remember. So appraisers know what this is. So like, those 9x9 things, you're like, I don't know. Like, especially if it's a VA and not FHA, I don't know. I mean, you're not an expert. I'm not an expert. None of us are experts. It could be, maybe it's not. We have to get it tested. If it's a VA or FHA, they're gonna say, hey, redo the floor. Just like, it is asbestos, but they're beautiful tiles. They're beautiful floors. Yeah.
I heard a saying once, if it's 9x9, it's 99% of the time.
Yep.
Meaning it's fast.
And they're super nice looking too, but you're right. Exactly. And that's why they don't make 9 by 9 tiles, they only make them 12 by 12. And so you can't, if you go to Home Depot and say, hey, I want a 9 by 9 tile, like this, then you won't find it. But like I said, 19, not this. All right, this one is one of the most accepted forms of asbestos, but it is asbestos. It's asbestos siding, shingles. Or another worm is concrete siding, right? It's not concrete, but they call it concrete siding. Basically, the shingles itself has asbestos in it. This is one of the most popular sidings that we find within 5 miles from our office. It's all over the place, right? And basically what it looks like is just the lawns, like it just looks like all siding. It's not vinyl, it's not aluminum, most likely asbestos siding, right? And nobody knows what this is because they've never seen it before. Just let your client know, hey, that might be asbestos siding. The inspector will tell them it's asbestos siding. But if you're waiving inspections, which I don't advocate to my clients, but sometimes if we make the deal happen, we have to do some stuff. Just let your client know, hey, this might be asbestos siding. I know you say you want to, waive the inspection. Let them at least do the inspection to know what's wrong with the house. And let them decide. Just don't even do the inspection at all. It's really bad.
So considering something like that, and, as far as age, right there, is the asbestos dangerous, or is there a potential dangerous level with this asbestos?
There's no safe level with asbestos. If it's disturbed and the particles are in the air, it is. But the reason, and this is only my opinion, there's no scientific backing to it, it's just my opinion, because it's on the exterior of the house, it rain, and people don't think, because it's out in the elements, so people don't think. But if you inhale asbestos, you can get ill. So there's no safe level, but this is, it's a form of asbestos. This right here is one of the hardest cleanups because you're removing, you can't cover this up. You can't, I'm sure people can put stuff over this to conceal, but the best way to do it is just removing it. And this is one of the things in firefighting, when we see it, we get super cautious because when we fight fires, what we're doing is we'll break windows, we break walls, we try to find the seat of the fire. And when we remove this, we need to be extra cautious because our faces are right there with our tools, removing this to find the fire behind it. And then a lot of firefighters, we don't go on air on the exterior of the house because you don't need to, but on this one thing, that's something that we definitely need to do. Oil tanks. Now, oil tanks underground, everyone says, oh, they get them removed, get them removed. What happens if the oil tank is underground and is actively being used for the heating for the house? Right? Just had a closing yesterday where the house had an oil tank underground, actively being used to heat the house. There is companies will test the oil tank under the ground and they'll check with pressure. They can also probe the ground, and by looking at the soil, you never truly know if the ground is contaminated unless you look underneath it. But they do so many different tests to test the oil tank under the ground. There is companies out there that test for an inspection takes about 2 hours. It's a long driven out process. A couple of things to note to see if the house ever had an oil tank, because about 90% of the houses in Bergen County had used oil heat at one point or another, is looking at the fill pipe and the vent pipe. This is where the oil comes in, this is the vent. Anything you have with plumbing always needs a vent, right? If you look at the roof line of any house, you see those white pipes. Is it usually like a 2-inch or 1.5 inch vent? That's just air helping gravity push, right? So this is a tank that's inside the basement. You can see how much oil by looking at this thing. It's kind of like a float, and it tells you how much oil is in that tank. For anyone who has never sold a property with oil tank, let your client know they're paying for whatever oil is inside that tank at market price. And they always do a reading, just like they do like electric readings and stuff like that. It's on here. So just like your client prepared, buy a house with oil, just like you're gonna be paying for the oil the oil that's in the tank, right? A lot of sellers try to sell the house when there's like almost no oil there. There is companies that will remove oil tanks. So my last two closings both had oil. The one in Lodi was an active oil tank in the basement. They converted the whole system. They removed the tank and made the whole thing gas because gas is coming to the street, from the street. And you can tell by gas meter, which I should put on there. I'm sorry to you guys that I didn't. And then can convert it. But the tank has oil. You got to make sure that the company who's removing it will take it well, or you got to find out what you can do with that oil. Now on this one here, the tank is usually a 5x3. That's how usually the tanks are, 5x3. So when they're looking for anomalies in the ground with the metal detector, it will go off. If that area is 5x3, there's a good shot that it could be one or two things. One, a oil tank. The other thing could be a septic system. The septic systems we don't have in here. The reason why I didn't put on here is because I forgot. But septic systems, it's just another thing. So they have it's called a man. I forgot it's an additional tank that has steel on it, so it's about that same size. But the same thing, all the tanks are always gonna have a vent pipe. So that's why when they come, they always want to go into the basement. They want to see any signs of oil and the things. There's the newest form of oil tanks a lot in Sussex County and Warren County. They're really popular. They look like steel porta potties, right? So picture of a porta potty. It's a small version of a porta potty, but it looks just like it has a little roof, has a vent and all that. But that's your oil. It's not long like this no more. They're coming in and they're looking like this. So if you start seeing on the side of the house, you're like, what is that? Is that it's all steel. No, that's your oil, right? Because you're looking for it. You're like, I don't know what this oil thing is, but I see this thing that looks like an outhouse. No, it's just an oil thing. Like I said, those are super popular in Sussex, Warren County. I haven't really seen them too much in Passaic County. Maybe all the way up north. Yeah, but so I've done a lot of sale, like I do stuff from basically Ocean all the way up to Warren. So I've seen, this almost all the time. You don't like, they don't have gas. They use this and then they use propane. Like that's their form of heating out in those in Sussex, Warren, probably Western Passaic County. They don't have gas going to the houses. They have either propane or oil as their source of heat. So propane, basically it's like a barbecue, right? It's propane going to the house and it heats up your appliances. So you have your gas stove, obviously, where the gas comes out. This is used by propane or natural gas, which gives you the energy of this. And this one here is an electric stove, which is plugged in with a plug. All right, sub pumps. Now, a sub pump, basically what it is, it's a hole that is approximately 3.5 to 4 feet inside the foundation or underground. This one here collects the water at the bottom of the pump is a sub pump. It's a pump itself. At the bottom of the barrel, it's a sub pump. Now you see this it's kind of hard to see, but there's a pipe coming out of here. I'll explain to you that in a minute, but a sub pump will have two things. You have the pipe coming out, this right here, it's a backflow preventer, right? It does not let water go back in it, it's a flap. Right, so water goes out, water cannot, and once it goes like this, water can go back in. Right, so this is a backflow. All right, so this one here, you have two. Now on this, you see all these wires. There's also a battery backup that's hooked up to this. I couldn't find one good picture that showed the battery backup. And there's also one. The battery backup will still let you use your pump and pump water out. If the house has no power, the alarm will go off, or if the pump is not working, the alarm will go off, notifying you, hey, the pump's not working. Now, if it's a bad storm like Ida, a hurricane, where a house loses power and they have one of these in there, that basement's gonna get water. So just because there's a sub pump, right? If there's nothing powering the sub pump, the sub pump will not work. So just let your clients know, like it's there. They're telling you the house gets water. Only ways to prevent the house from getting water is this pump working. So you can use generators or a battery backup is only gonna work about 3 hours. So you lose power, probably not getting power back in 3 hours. And that was one of the things that we had during Ida. We had houses that were calling the fire department saying, hey, my house is gonna be backed up with water. We need power on. We're like, we're not electricians. We're only here to tell you, move all your expensive stuff. You're gonna get water in the basement, And what we do is we also shut off the utility, we shut off the power from the fuse box to prevent any, water going to, energizing the water. Shut off the gas to make sure there's no gas leaks, because once the pilot goes off, the gas can still piss out and get natural gas in the house. And when the LEL levels are too high, the house will explode. So going to this right here, right? It goes to the next slide, which is called French drain. A French drain is a channel, usually 8 inches wide, that has this pipe in here and gravel around it. And what it is, it takes the water. So this one here, the water comes from the wall into this channel, and the channel goes into your sub pump. So basically, it collects the water around the perimeter, and you start seeing around the perimeter of the basement. It's kind of hard to see, but against the wall, you see a black checkerboard, right? Maybe about 3 inches thick, 3 inches high. And what it is, that's a sign that it is a French drain. You can also get French drains on the exterior of the house, where they put it on the exterior of the foundation to take the water away from the foundation, away to the street. And this one here is in the basement here. So you could have a basement in a flood zone and not get water in the basement because they have all these precautions. They may have four sub pumps with French drains to collect any of the groundwater pumps on the exterior. So just because it's in a flood zone doesn't mean you cannot finish it. It's expensive, but you can finish it.
When you see the French drain, the only thing is like, there's openings, right, around a wall. Is there any other way?
No, so when you do you're doing that on the perimeter, the perimeter, there's some older homes that I've seen with flood zones that what they'll do is they'll run a channel from where the boiler is or by the chimney. And the channel would take the water and bring it into a sub pump. But the channel is open. The channel is it's open channel. It looks like, just looks like someone took their finger through like sand and went like made that little channel. They did that with the foundation. So I've seen that in a lot of houses, especially in Ridgefield Park, Pagoda, Teaneck. It was super popular in those areas with flood damage. Just because a house is not in a flood zone doesn't mean it doesn't get water. A house can get water if one, poor drainage, if you don't have, gutters, leaders going, taking the water away from the roof and going right to the foundation, you can get water in the basement. You're building something underneath the ground. But this is one of the things, and then the pipe, the French drain will go through the barrel, and it puts the water in there, and then that's what take the water out. The sub pump will do that. And that's, I think that's it. That was my last one. Oh, no. Lollipops. This is the last lollipops. So what's a lollipop? So you go in basements, you start seeing the floor supports. This is a temporary support for the basement. You see people like, oh, that's not a problem. It's been there for 30 years. Yeah, but that is not what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be anchored on the floor. It's supposed to be anchored on top. There's a bolt here and a bolt here. But this bolt breaks and this bolt breaks, guess what's going to happen? The weight of the floor is going to come down. So this is a temporary lollipop. It's not permanent. Any inspector who does an inspection will see this, will call you out and say, this is a temporary structure. What you need to do is you need to have a solid post from the top to the bottom. It has to make sure it's going up to the wood and bolted to the ground to prevent it from moving.
Would that be something where the house will have inspection or?
I mean, it's up to your client to make the big deal about it. I mean, will this thing fail? It's possibly not going to fail. Could it fail? Yeah, it definitely could fail. But it's not up to like a code, but it's a temporary solution. Yeah, exactly what it is. It's a temporary solution. But
I call them metal ones, lolly columns too, the regular ones. Do you have a different name for them, the permanent ones?
oh no, I don't know. I call them always column.
So,
I call them lollipop on that has like the jack
parts.
Yeah, well, this one here is actually a twist. It just spins.
Yeah, I'm talking about, he's saying the ones that look without,
Well, yeah, and then just,
it's just like a
yeah,
steel.
it's just a steel. But this one here, this is a temporary structure.
Yes, that, they look.
And sometimes you'll see this, I'm gonna do some like piece of wood underneath this. So, yeah, look, on this one here, it looks like they put a piece of wood and a piece of wood is on the actual thing, because it's too short. So you'll start seeing a lot of comments are short, and they try to adjust it by doing a piece of wood.
Why wouldn't they instead of putting out by?
Laziness, contractor to come back, they want to spend extra money on it.
not supposed to be the owner of the car.
Yeah, there you go, exactly.
Yeah.
No, but, you know, and I think that's it. I don't think there's any more after this. Is there? Oh, yes, there's two more. Termites, all right? So these are some ideals of what a termites. So you can see how the termites make, just look at, it looks like wood that's been like kind of clawed by Freddy Krueger, kind of clawed it. It just kind of looks sloppy. And this picture here, this is what is called a mud tunnel, right? So basically it's just wood that they travel in. So this is like a wood trail. This could be old. It doesn't even have to be active. All this stuff could be 10 years old. Termites not may not live in the house anymore. But this right here, the inspector sees this, you're gonna ask for credits because the termite, and then what they do is they put every 18 inches, they dig a hole around the perimeter of the house, they put this poison and they fill up the cap. So they do every 18 inches or 16 or 18 inches around the whole house. So if you go to a house and you start seeing, this like, looks like someone drilled holes on the sidewalk around the house, that's what it was. It was treated with termite. And then the next one is carpenter bees. Now, carpenter bees love garages and the sides of the eaves of the house. They make more rounded, they look like they're much more rounded. Where termites would look like someone kind of ripped it and kind of over time just kind of ripped and ripped and ripped. This one here, they're a little bit more clean and it's just kind of holes. So this is carpenter bee damage. Yeah, and what was it, garage? Any garage?
No, my whole house.
Oh, your whole house?
Like, where some of these migrated in the back side of the house. So initially, the issue started with, so we had carpenter ants. And so when I had them to come check it out, I had to get the specialist. I had to treat that side, but then that came out something, say, you have carpenter bees, because they were actually getting that. And I thought, that's where they come from. And that's where they come from.
Yeah, the carpenter. And all this stuff is treated, they get treated. But carpenter bee, when I see one in my house, I get nervous. I get nervous. But, and I think this is, that was live. That is live. And that's it.
Nico, where was the best one I listing Mitchell Park? Every single thing.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that would be awesome.
This is recorded where?
You know, I don't know.
No, but I would like to go through it.
Oh, no, I'll email it.
No, I'm saying.
Oh, like, listening? I guess, I don't know. I'll ask, Alicia.
I do some of the stuff, like some of the stuff. I mean, you can walk away with two things that I didn't know.
That's what, because you already have the knowledge of all this. Because
No, there's one.
because of your, because of.
No,
your
but-
firefighter.
You know, like, I learned a lot of the building instruction from it. The other stuff is just, like, I'm a nerd when it comes to stuff like this, so the other stuff I kind of knew, I want to learn, but, at least the house construction, so. That, okay, there you go. But, what was I say,
You and Beck should go have